The enterprise agreement document, as I said, it explains the basics of the EA program. It's also an evergreen contract, so it holds no end date. It's the contract that makes the first reference to these static and or dynamic documents like the product terms and the online services terms. And it's a general explanation of how to buy licenses under the EA. So what licenses are granted to you, what's the duration of software assurance and your subscription licenses, so usually 3 years, what use rights apply for the licenses that you buy. It describes your right to downgrade and new version rights. And most importantly, for me, this document explains what might happen in case of an acquisition, divestiture, or a merger. Other than that, re-imaging rights are mentioned here, transferring of licenses, term and termination, and the order of precedence. And the order of precedence is on the right side here as well. Here it states, like I said, that the order precedence is first the master agreement, that's the MBSA, then this enterprise agreement, any enrollment under the EA, then the product terms, online services terms, and 7, any other documents in this agreement. So that might be the CPS or amendments. So in section 2 of the enterprise agreement, it holds your applicable use rights. So it details the duration of your licenses, the downgrade rights that you have. That downgrade rights are the rights to use an earlier version of a product, or your new version rights if you sign up to software assurance. So like I said before, that's the maintenance that Microsoft offers. So new version rights are explained in this document. Acquisitions, divestitures, and mergers. When a change occurs of 10% in your company because of an acquisition or a merger or a divestiture, there's a good faith clause to renegotiate agreement. People often overlook this. It's quite important because you are covered in the case that you acquire or divest an entity that's more than 10% of your company size. Microsoft will negotiate with you in the event that you have such a situation. What's also there, and which is often overlooked, is clause 3, clause 3a, copies for training, evaluation, and backup. It grants you permission to use copies of product for your training facilities for evaluation purposes and backup. So you're able to set up your own training environments and do not buy licenses for this. Then there's re-imaging rights, and re-imaging is the copying of software onto multiple devices from one consistent image. Re-imaging rights are granted to Microsoft commercial licensing customers buying licenses under enterprise agreement. Also available for other volume licensing programs, by the way. And last but not least, transferring licenses is referenced in the enterprise agreement. It's quite an important one because it causes a lot of confusion for software asset management experts. You can transfer fully paid perpetual licenses. You can't transfer cloud subscriptions or software assurance. And with fully paid, I mean licenses, and Microsoft is quite strict on this, that do not have any annual payments. So even if you're only paying software assurance for your licenses, you still have to pay all installments before you are able to transfer the license. And after the transfer, then the receiving party can add software assurance to your licenses in a new or an active contract, but they should figure that out with the Microsoft commercial executive. What's important to notice from a software asset management perspective is that the licenses that were transferred will not show up in a new MLS of the receiving party, but they will still show up in the Microsoft license statement for the selling of the transferring party. So Microsoft does not track these license transfers, and this is up to you to do. So if you have licenses that you have gotten through an acquisition, they won't show up in your license statement, but they will be in the license statement of the old company that sold the division to you. Keep note of that, keep them on file, and be sure to be able to show this to Microsoft when they request this.